Subscribe to my YouTube channel for more educational insights, and don't forget to press the like button.
You know that feeling when a brilliant idea just sparks in your mind? That little what-if moment? Well, that spark, that's the start of an incredible adventure. Today, we're not just talking about business studies, we're talking about enterprise, a journey of ideas, courage, and creation. And it's a journey that anyone, and I mean anyone, can embark on. So let's get our boots on and begin. I want you to think of enterprise as a grand expedition. It all starts with that single idea, which creates a path stretching out in front of you. Now, that path isn't always smooth. It involves taking risks, facing challenges, but ultimately, it's about moving forward towards your goal. Every single successful business you've ever heard of began with one person brave enough to take that very first step.
So, here's our map for today's explainer. First, we'll answer the call to adventure and figure out what enterprise actually is. Then, we'll look at a fork in the road, the two main paths you can choose. We'll pack our explorer's toolkit with the skills you'll need, meet the different people you'll encounter along the way, and then hear a real story from the road. And finally, we'll see how your own journey can start. Well, right now.
Right then, every great story has a beginning. And ours starts by answering that big question. What on earth is enterprise? Okay, so what does that really mean? Well, enterprise is all about action. It's any kind of setup where people don't just sit around waiting for instructions. No, they take the initiative, they step up, they make the big decisions, and, this is the crucial bit, they take calculated risks to make something happen. And if enterprise is the journey, then the entrepreneur, well, they're the hero of our story. This is the person who hears that call to adventure and actually decides to do something about it. They're the ones who kickstart the whole thing, who bring everything together, and who lead the way.
Okay, so our hero has decided to set off. But almost immediately, they come to a fork in the road. And it's a big one. They have to decide what the whole point of their enterprise is. Is it all about making a profit, or is there a bigger purpose beating at its heart?
And this lays out the two paths perfectly. On one side, you've got the business enterprise. Here, the main goal, the prime directive, is to make a profit. That money can then be put back into the business to help it grow, or it can be shared among the owners. But on the other side, you've got the social enterprise. Now, these can still make a profit, for sure, but that's not their number one mission. They exist to help with a social cause, to make society better in some way. And any profit they make, it gets plowed right back into supporting that cause.
Every explorer needs the right kit, right? Well, for an entrepreneur, that kit isn't ropes and compasses. It's a very specific set of skills and qualities. Let's call it the explorer's toolkit for enterprise.
So, what's inside this toolkit? First up, you need the guts for risk-taking. Then you've got to have the clarity for sharp decision-making. Your mind needs to be fizzing with innovation, with new ideas. And finally, and this might just be the most important tool of all, you need a really resilient, positive attitude to get you through the tough times.
Now, let's talk about that risk-taking, because it's not about being reckless. It's not just jumping off a cliff and hoping for the best. Entrepreneurs take calculated risks. They do their homework. They weigh it all up. They only take that leap when they're pretty confident that the potential rewards, the treasure, is going to be way, way bigger than the cost if they fail. It's about being smart, not just brave.
Let's be honest, no hero ever completes their quest completely alone. Along the way, you meet a whole cast of characters who have an interest in what you're doing. In business, we call these people stakeholders. Think of them as your allies, your guides, and yeah, sometimes even your rivals.
So what is a stakeholder? Well, it's pretty simple, really. It's literally anyone who has a stake in your enterprise. Either they're affected by what you do, or their success is tied to yours in some way. And trust me, it's a much bigger group of people than you might first think.
We can split these characters into two main groups. You've got your internal stakeholders, they're your core team, your fellowship. That's the employees doing the day-to-day work and the owners who put up the money. Then you've got your external stakeholders. These are the people you meet out in the wider world. Your customers, the government, your neighbors in the local community, and even your competition. You've got to think about all of them.
And out of all those stakeholders, there are two that are absolutely central to your story. First, your customers. Because let's face it, without them, you have no money to fund the journey. And second, your employees. They're the ones doing the hard graft to turn your big idea into a reality. If you can keep those two groups happy, you are definitely on the right track.
Okay, theory is one thing. But let's see what this actually looks like in the real world. Let's follow a story from the road, the adventure of a real-life entrepreneur named Nirali Someshwar.
So Nirali was an architect, but her true passion was dance.
She performed at a few events, and afterwards, parents started coming up to her, asking if she would teach their kids. And that was her call to adventure. She didn't wait around for permission. As it says here, she took the initiative and decided to start her own dance academy called Happy Feet.
You see, her journey follows our map perfectly. The spark was her passion for dance. The call came from those parents. The leap was her big decision to take that risk and start the academy. And now she's on the quest, using all her dedication and skill to make it in a really competitive industry. She's using every single tool in that enterprise toolkit we talked about.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, this is all very interesting, but I'm not about to start a business. And you know what? That is absolutely fine, because the best part is you don't have to. The journey of enterprise can start for you right now in your everyday life.
And if you take one thing away from this, let it be this. Enterprise isn't just a thing, it's a way of thinking. It's a mindset. It's about taking the initiative, solving problems, and being responsible. And it's a mindset you can practice and get better at everywhere. At home, at school, you name it.
This is your training ground. At home, you can be enterprising just by planning a family meal, from figuring out the ingredients to cooking it. At school, you could step up and lead a club, or just find a new, creative way to tackle a tricky problem. Every single one of these small actions is building your enterprise muscles, getting you ready for bigger adventures later on.
So let's make this real. Here are your first steps. This week, just pick one of these. Take on a new task at home without being asked. Volunteer for something at school. Spend 10 minutes just thinking of a clever solution to a small problem that's been bugging you. Or even just get properly organized with your study schedule. Just take that one small first step.
Because really, that's all it ever takes. An idea, a decision, and that first step forward. You've seen the map, you know what you need to pack in your toolkit. So the only real question left is the one every hero has to answer for themselves. What journey are you going to start today?
Learn more. Subscribe.